Hello, welcome to Uncle Cthulhu Reviews. So as you can see, I've been able to paint up the miniatures from Warlord Games Epic Battle Systems American Civil War set. And these are from the front cover of Wargames Illustrated. So what I'm going to do is show them off and talk about it a bit, how I've painted it, my learning points with it, some of the gripes that people's had about uniforms and answer that. And Warlord Games has actually answered a few of the questions. So all the follow-up stuff's going to be in Warlord plastic. John Stallard said it was probably going to be out the end of January, but I've also seen people from Warlord Games say it might be out the end of February. Obviously, we live in uncertain times, so when it's out, it's out. So as you can see, I have constructed these regiments in groups of 3. And that is how I'm going to be constructing my forces. Regular regiments to black powder will be 3, small will be 2, tiny will be to 1, and large units will be 5. And one of the reasons for that is the smaller scale miniatures gives you the chance to have some real maneuver on the battlefield with flanks and turning flanks. And you've got a depth there in the battlefield, but if you've got 5 stands in your units deployed in a line, that's basically a foot. If you're playing on a standard 6x4 board, that's essentially 6 units out in line. So like I say, I'm going to be using these in groups of 3. So let's start off and I'll show you what I've done with the Confederates. So the other thing I wanted to do with this project was have a play around with contrast paint. So once it comes into focus there, as you see, the light grey there is Games Workshop's Gryph Charager Grey. The brown is Snakebite Leather and the darker grey is Basilicanum Grey. The blue, light blue on the trousers is actually Calgar blue, painted over top. Now how contrast paints work is you'll undercoat with white. As you can see, I've sprayed these white. And then it's just put one coat on. Or the flesh tone as well, that's Gulliman flesh. Painted the rifles, XV88, painted some metal on, I think that was Iron Hand Steel. And I've used a bit of shade, Agrax shade on them to bring it back down, put touch highlighting on. So they came up really nicely. I really like the way Gryph Charager Greys came out for Confederate Grey. And for my Confederates, I want to have a ragtag look, so that works quite well. Now with the Union, after a few test models, what I ended up doing was covering the entire model with Ultramarines blue contrast paint, darken everything down, and then build up some of the lighter colours. Again, Calgar blue with a touch of fenris grey for the trousers. Still got to finish off the drum there. Rifles, etc. done the same. Skin, once I've done it blue, I'll go back over with the wraithbone with the skin and put the skin on. So coming up really nice there. One of the things I did with these was traditionally in smaller scale, I tend to paint all the webbing and belts and cross braces white so they stand out. But I've actually done them black. Nice, quick and simple. If I'm going to be painting up 2,400 figures, I wanted a nice quick way to do it. So as you see there, one of the things I've done is the bases, the stands, have mixed kepis and slouch hats. So all I've done is painted the slouch hats black and see how it stands. And actually from a distance, it doesn't look so bad. The other thing is the Union troops didn't tend to use blanket rolls, but the models do have blanket rolls on. And hopefully you can see there that I've painted these like a light fenris grey. It both blends in with the uniform and gives it a bit more of a uniform utilitarian look that the Union armies would have had. Now if I compare that to some Confederate blanket rolls, I've left them in different colours. So you see I've put some yellows and reds, some whites there, so they stand out. Now the other thing to consider with this was what miniatures go with them. What are they compatible with? And actually from the pictures shown, Callistra tends to be the winner. Now because I'm going to be using 3 bases for my units, and actually for different rules, what I'll probably do is have this base, say, count as two stands, say if I'm using Fire and Fury or Peter Pig's rules. And then when the user lose our unit, a stand, I'll probably have a 30 by 20 base with some figures on, which I'll swap out. Because what I'm going for with this is I think these regiments look ace. So anyway, as I was saying before, matching with Callistra. So what I've done here, if I'm using 3 base units, then I'm going to have extra models, so I'm going to need extra command. If Warlord don't end up doing extra command, what I did here was take some Callistra models and put them in the front rank for a command. And obviously, like I said earlier, if I want to do half stands, once that focuses, then I'm going to need a model to be, that's not really focusing. So Callistra are slightly smaller, but actually not that much smaller, and from the tabletop, they work pretty well. So like I say, if Warlord are able to do half stands, that's great. Otherwise, I'm going to need to use some of my Callistra models for the half stands if I'm using other sets of rules. And the other thing about uniforms is, I said before how these guys with their slouch hats and kepis work quite well. I wanted to see how easy it would be to do units with kepis. So this middle unit, if you see, all my guys wearing kepis. And it was a fairly easy job to trim down the plastics to be kepis. So I've just shown that. So start from this side here. So this guy here has had shave off part of the hat there. Then that's a kepi. This one here, shave off the other half, cut off the back, and just trim it down. And if I can do that with my trusty X-Acto knife and my big base plane hands, then anybody can do it. The other thing I've got handy here is, I haven't quite finished them yet, but these are some of the mounted commanders. Now I don't want all my commanders looking the same, and Warlord's kind of hinted that there'll be other commanders coming out, but that's them compared to the Callistra ones, and like I say, that's a pretty good match in my opinion. And again for the artillery, so that's an artillery piece work in progress. And then if I pull out one of my Callistra artillery pieces, yeah, it is a wee bit smaller, but I figure once you put it on a big base like that, there's not that much in it. So I think Callistra is a pretty good match. So there we have it. What I've found out is it's taken a wee bit longer than I thought to paint all these models, but then when you come and think about it, well, I'm looking at 60, 120, 140, 160. You know, I'm looking at over 150 models painted there. The contrast, especially on the Confederates, was a joy to use. For the Union, I've got my standard down for that. I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on more regiments and getting more stuff painted up, and doing some more American Civil War gaming in the future. And I'll do some more videos about the American Civil War. At the moment, I'm playing through a computer game. If you like wargaming, it's called Ultimate General Civil War. It's the best looking war game I've had on the computer, and you can do a campaign that takes you through the entire Civil War. It's glorious, and one of the things I always challenge myself is hardest level, playing as a Confederate at Antietam. It's a battle that I am quite enamoured with, and I've certainly refought loads on the tabletop. But anyway, that's what I've done so far with the Warlord Games Epic Battle Scale models. Like I say, I think it's going to work pretty well. It's been pretty easy to convert up the kepis. The Callistra models, in my opinion, fit really well. Contrast paints have come lovely. Like I say, looking at this Confederate grey from here really makes it stand out. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to like, and I look forward to seeing what the entire Warlord Games range looks like. But this is the 31st of December 2020. It's going to be my last wargaming video of the year, so thanks for everybody that's supported the channel this year. Hope you have a much better next year. I am 3 subscribers at the time of doing this video off 300, and when I set up this channel, it was only ever going to be me talking about my hobby experiences. So 300 subscribers, that's awesome, and I thank you all for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, it costs you nothing. And I do intend to keep pumping out loads of videos. But anyway, you have a great hobby end of year, and I'll see you next year. Goodbye.